I'm going to.
Sounds good.
Great. So we're going to get started now. Welcome, everyone. So today we're kicking off the Animation Spotlight program with our first ever talk called Kickstarting Your Animation Career, Insights from a Dreamer. Today we are honored to have a friend of mine and as well as a really esteemed colleague, Wahid Ibn Reza, join us. Before we dive right in, I wanted to begin our meeting with the land acknowledgement. I'm currently based in Toronto at the moment, and we acknowledge the land we are currently meeting on right now is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by the Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. However, we are a global program at the moment, and I do encourage you to reflect and think about the space where you're currently in right now and creating a positive space and safe space for you. So in terms of housekeeping today, this is our first event. So I want to thank all of you for just your patience the past couple of days with just our technical difficulties. We will begin with this event with a couple of questions and a conversation with Wahid, and then we will have some time for a Q&A for some of you folks to answer some of your to get some of your questions answered. So now, if we don't get to your question, don't worry, we will have a survey at the end of after the event for you to submit questions. And down the road, our program will actually be implementing and scheduling one-on-one meetings with some of our key folks and partners, which is super exciting. And for more information about that, feel free to sign up for our newsletter after this meeting, and as well follow us on social media, and we'll send you a note about all of that after this call. I'd like to introduce myself. So my name is Matthew Celestial, and I am the president and CEO of Statement, a public relations and marketing firm specializing in animation, VFX, video games, and technology and consumer products. Our firm has been privileged to work with many talented individuals over the past couple of years. We've been honored and privileged to work with Wahid over the past couple of months to implement this really fun program that we wanted to create to sort of help and support our animation community, especially those wanting to transition into it, wanting to join it, currently working in it and trying to figure out where they want to go. And so, as I mentioned, please sign up for our newsletter and follow us on social media, and let's get the conversation going in terms of creating a very robust, inclusive, and collaborative industry. Now, enough about the housekeeping items. Let's dive right into the program. I want to introduce a fantastic individual and colleague, Wahid, who, let me tell you, Wahid is a creative genius, a talent beyond measure, a genuine mentor to so many people in this industry, and quite possibly the voice that many of you might need in this industry. His journey is very inspiring, and his credits go beyond just movies and television shows. And please join me in welcoming Wahid. So Wahid, I wanted to save your entire bio for this entire program. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey in animation and VFX?
Thank you for such a lovely introduction, man. I feel like, I should just, leave now. This is done. It's a good show. I think I had a good, we don't need to hear anymore. Well, my name is Wahid Ibn Reza. My day job, I work as a senior production supervisor at Annapurna Pictures. We are working on a really fun show. It's an adult CG animated show called Sausage Party Foodtopia. It's based on the Sausage Party movie. So I'm doing the production supervising by day. By night, I'm working as the writer-director for National Film Board of Canada. As you know, man, National Film Board of Canada, they have 12 Oscar wins and 75 nominations under their belt. They're one of the most prestigious organizations, in the world, and they love doing animated short films. So I am working as a writer-director for them on a short called The Last Glacier. It's an animated short about climate crisis, and it's about 3 animals going to see the last glacier. It's a reality that we don't want to accept, but sadly, it is where we are heading. And also on weekends, I'm working as a freelance writer for various animation studios. Currently, I'm working for two studios. One called Vidya Production. They're out of Dubai. The other is Omen Studio. They're out of Singapore. So I am doing 4 jobs. That's me in a nutshell at the moment. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. And that's a lot, and that's amazing. I'm sure, this exactly and precisely why we decided to sort of launch this program, is because you definitely have a lot of insights to provide us. Now, in terms of, going back to this, what early experiences led you to pursue a career in animation?
To be honest, I didn't know that I would go into animation. So I'm originally from Bangladesh, and I moved to Vancouver, Canada, because I wanted to work in Hollywood films. And Vancouver is where they filmed MacGyver and X-Files. There's 2 TV shows that I grew up watching. So I decided to make life-altering decision just because I like these 2 TV shows that were filmed in this town called Vancouver. I knew nothing about Vancouver. That's my first knowledge. So Hollywood North. So I came here and did my film degree. I had a good run. Um, I wanted to let you know that before this film degree, I had a degree in mechanical engineering. Because I'm brown, I have to have a degree in engineering or medical. Otherwise, it's a disgrace for my family. So after my engineering degree, I used to work as a writer and actor back home in Bangladesh. So I had an established career, but I was the head writer for the biggest advertising agency. I had my own TV show as an actor, as a writer. Uh, but I wanted to work in Hollywood films. And so I started applying to film schools, and I came to Vancouver. So I went to University of British Columbia, did a second bachelor there, and I did well. I was in Dean's List. I was part of NBC Universal Summer Fellowship Program. I did my internship at Suits on the TV show Suits, which is pretty cool. I was in Toronto for 6 months for that. Didn't take a picture with Meghan Markle. Should have done that.
That would have been worth a lot now.
That would worth a lot now. Yeah, I didn't do that, but it was a wonderful experience. And then after my graduation, I was looking for jobs, and I still have that folder, Matt. 84 resumes. I send out 84 resumes, not a single callback. And I'm like, why is this happening? By that time, my short film went to festivals, won awards and stuff. I've done this fellowship, I have done internship experience. My results is good. I don't know why I'm not getting it. Any job interview, not even an interview call. And then a friend of mine, Nicholas Harvey, he's from Colombia, so he's also an immigrant like myself, international student. So he's like, you know what? Are you putting down your Bangladeshi experience? I'm like, yeah, I have tons of experience from Bangladesh. I had done. And he's like, you know what? They think that they have to sponsor you, so they're afraid. When you're putting down Bangladeshi experience, they're afraid the HR is, because the HR, the human resource, they have so little time to find the spot. They can't really do that much dive deep into somebody's profile. So then what I did, I removed my engineering degree from my resume, removed all Bangladeshi experience, only kept Canadian experience and fresh graduate of UBC. The first place that I dropped my resume was Bardell. This is an animation studio. They're the studio behind Rick and Morty, Teen Titans Go, tons of cool stuff. So I went in, and during the interview, it was for an unpaid internship. So at that time, I was doing a part-time job at my university. I was working for a UBC call center. Again, I'm brown. I have to work in call center. It's like in our DNA or contract. So, and I was doing
really
well,
taken everything and really did it all,
Yeah, and I was doing well. I raised $137,000 for UBC. Yeah, in my tenure there. Yeah, and 38% on credit card. So I was good at that, and that was paying my living expense. So I'm like, unpaid internship is fine. It's gonna be let me in, foot to the door. All right, fine. So I went in, and they were asking me all these questions, and they're like, oh, you have so many other experience. Why didn't you put it on your resume? I'm like, if I did, you'd not ask me for an interview. And they're like, yeah, that is probably true. And they kept asking me about taxes. Do you pay taxes? And I'm like, it's an unpaid role. Why are you asking about taxes? I'm like, yeah, of course I pay my taxes. My interview was at 11 a.m. At 2 p.m., they actually emailed me that they're hiring me for a paid position. It's a production assistant role, office assistant role. All right, that's in bare minimum wage, I'm fine. This is all I wanted. So I went in. The responsibilities were very simple. Throw out the trash, unload the dishwasher. The dishwasher is old. Sometimes you have to rinse it and clean it even after the clean cycle is done. Throw out, make coffees and stuff like that. I remember this one artist, he used to cook fish every day. So I had to clean his plate every day, stinking fish. But hey, I'm doing it. So my manager, Athena Cho, she's a lovely lady, and she was like, well, it's a big studio, 200, 300 people. It'll take you a day. It will take like half a day to do everything. I finished all the work in like 1.5 hours. And she's like, wait, you're done? I'm like, yeah, give me more stuff to do.
Productivity, you did it.
Yeah. So then she started giving me production related work. And then they were like, oh, this guy is good in production work. We should keep him and give him more responsibility. So then I'm starting getting more and more responsibility, production stuff, scheduling out, downloading materials, sending materials, doing the schedule for the freelancers, doing payroll for the freelancer. So my first show that I did all this was Rick and Morty season 1, which is incredible. I joined the second episode. And at that time, nobody knew what this show is going to be, but we knew what it was going to be. And I had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. And I kept on doing my other stuff too, because that's in my job responsibility, but they kept giving me more and more production stuff. And I became really good at what I was doing. At the end of the season 1, season 2 was a bit delayed. So they didn't know what to do. And so they put me on Puss in the Boots TV series. It was supposed to be a TV series from DreamWorks. So I was like, okay, I did animation for a while and I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. At that time, I had another interview call with a company called Moving Pictures Company, MPC. And they were hiring, it's a visual effects. I've never done visual effects, so I wanted to learn. So I went in for an interview and it felt good. Like, after 84, no response, the second interview, it felt good. So I went in, so the guy who was interviewing me, he was like, oh, where are you from? And so I'm from Bangladesh. And he's like, oh, we have an office there. I'm like, no, you have an office in Bangalore. That's like India, that's the country next door. So he was a bit flustered. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, it's okay. Bangalore is very close. I can see it from my balcony. So then he laughed and he offered me a job. He was like, oh, you're going to be the asset and environment department coordinator. And you're going to be working on the show called Game of Thrones. Have you heard Game of Thrones? I'm like, yes, I've heard of Game of Thrones. Yes. So I worked on one episode, which was the first episode where we see the wall.
Yeah.
We see the giant and we see the mammoth. So we build a mammoth, we build a giant. It was a massive, massive thing. I had no idea. Like, they sent in part of the set that we were supposed to take photos to make it digital, like reference for our digital artists. And it was huge, like huge 6 feet by 6 feet package that came in. And as you know, the Game of Thrones, it was a very demanding show. It's like you have movie quality visual effects, but TV amount of time. So people are working long hours, and that was my first intro to visual effects. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? This, like, extras, like 50 extras, we were making 500 of them. Not all those flaming arrows, there was no fire in them, all us doing the fires in them. And that wall, oh my God. I don't think they had that many discussion when they were building the Great Wall of China. It kept going on. Too blue, not blue enough. Too white, not white enough. Too hard snow, not hard snow enough. So that's just to figure out the looks and stuff. The actual set wall was like 10 feet by 20 feet or something like that. And then we did the whole other thing.
Now, I think like one of the things that I loved when I first started working in this industry was to really listen to all of these stories like that you have right now, and to really demystify this industry, that it is absolutely possible to do this work wherever you're coming from and wherever you're
absolutely.
And so moving on to your stories and your career stories, I guess, can you maybe share a pivotal moment or project similar to maybe this wall that you were working on for
Yeah.
Game of Thrones that
Yeah.
maybe had a profound impact on your career where and it sort of gave you, changed the direction of your career in animation, VFX, and entertainment as a whole, where you kind of had this kind of aha moment where it's like, yes, like, this is the right industry for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like at that time I was still learning. So what I was doing, I was like a sponge. Um I would voluntarily work on covering for anybody. Anybody's sick, I'm working for them. Anybody's on vacation, I'm working for them. So all of a sudden, in 3 months, I gained the experience of like a year and a half because I was doing all these multiple shows. So at one point, we were having a discussion as a Batman versus Superman is coming to the company, and I'm a huge comic book nerd. I grew up, like I knew who Captain America was before I understood the concept of America as a country. So I went up to my boss. I'm like, I want to work on Batman versus Superman, and he was like, well, you have Batman, Superman, or James Bond. That James Bond is also pretty cool. I'm like, Batman versus Superman. Give me that. So I kind of demanded it. And I'm really proud of that because I got to work on that show for more than a year. And I worked on the very first teaser trailer that got leaked from Comic-Con. Somebody took a mobile video and then leaked it online. I worked on that till the final scene of the movie.
Wow.
And when we know Superman, we now know Superman dies at the end. So that was a big secret at that time. So we had around 400 artists. There was a smaller group, 50 group of us who only worked on that last bit. And I was part of that too. So it was an insane moment for me. And I got to actually wear that cape the Ben Affleck wore on the movie. I'm like, this is it. This is like a fanboy's dream come true. So that was a show that I worked on the show side. We did like 560 shots, and I had a really good production manager, line producer, and producer who were like really open up to me. So they would share how the schedules are being made, and they would actually give us freedom to do our own schedule. So I got to plan out how things will go from the top to bottom. So that was like a pivotal moment for me that, okay, this is something that I really enjoy.
That's
Like,
amazing.
yeah, like when
So,
you're working in production, it's not as glamorous,
exactly.
it's a lot looking at a lot of Excel sheets, a lot of like, charts and stuff. But that's the moment I was like, okay, this is something that I'm really enjoying, and this is something that I really want to do. So
Well, my question is then, were there, you talk about it with your line producers and producers that you've worked with, and it's always great to have all of these amazing people around us. It's amazing. Some people don't really get to recognize it, but it really does take a village to really help build your own career, and the people that you meet along the way.
absolutely.
But were there any specific mentors or role models that played a significant role in your career development? And what were kind of maybe their pointers as you were sort of getting your footing into the industry?
Yeah, I mean, for Batman versus Superman, that's where I met David P.I. James. So David is I joke with David is big. He's big like me. He's like 6'4", and I joke with him that our ancestor used to hang around the same trees, and his ancestor went to east, he went to west, mine went to east, and that's how we separated because we are really close. And he's like a mentor and a friend of mine. He's also a writer. He was the writer for G-Force, the movie. So we bonded right away. And the best thing that I learned from David, he's a very chill producer. Whenever, like, you know, for lack of better word, shit would hit the fan, which means really, he would bring out a guitar and he would sing, "What are you gonna do?" And it was just so true. Like, you can't really do anything. You can't really panic. Like, some people stresses out, some people panic. You have to calm down and, take a step back and figure out how to, come to a solution. So David is somebody that I reach out over and over again. He's a freelance VFX producer. He was working for Skydance and Netflix. And it just works. And mentors like that actually help in the long run. And it's through David I actually got to work on Extraction, which was really funny. He shared an images with me that, can you read this? And I saw that it's a text in Bengali. I'm like, yeah, I can read this. Are you working on Extraction? And he's like, yeah, I'm working on Extraction. I'm like, well, if you need a consultant, please let me know. And then I got to be a consultant on the movie and the post-production side, so which is really funny.
Right.
So
Let me tell you, for everyone on this call watching right now, Wahid is the definition of like calmness in the midst of madness. I've been
what
working.
can you do? You can't really, you just
Yeah,
have to take a breather and you have to find the solution. And I understand, it gets it gets on your nerves. Sometimes what happens is that we take things personally. We take rejection
100%.
personally. When a shot is not approved, often or not, artists take things personally. You should not take things personally. It's it's a unified goal that where you're going, and it sometimes can also be subjective. It's finding the vision and finding the technically sound image that fulfills the story points. That's what we are doing. We're all gathering together to tell a good story,
Right.
and there's creatives in every level who are actually guiding you along the path. I know it's easy to say that you should not stress out, but you will stress out. The challenge is to calm yourself down and start it all over again. That's the challenge.
Now, can you provide a little bit more insight? You talk about this, you've really worked across multiple areas of the business in the animation industry. You started off in engineering.
Yeah.
And maybe tell us a little bit more, provide us insight into your creative process. How has this evolved over the years in the animation industry? I mean, I'm sure you've sort of had a little bit more of a shift as you're writing right now, and and all of that.
I mean, it's very individualistic. Like everybody comes with the different things. So when you're working on a show, like when you're working in visual effects or animation, you're working with a supervisor or a director, it's good to know what works for that person. Right? Like the pipeline, you can figure out the pipeline in a week or two. You can figure out the tools or the supporting information. You can figure those out. But it's the people that you need to know that what is working for them. At the end of the day, when you're working on a film or working on a TV show, you have a vision. That is vision is laid out by the director, and that's the vision that you are trying to hit. So it's like back calculation from that vision, that what we can do, the tasks in our hand, the shots in our hand, or the assets in our hand to get to that point. So you have to break it down in realistic step and then take it to there. It's not about, when you're working as a writer or it's not always about sharing your own vision. You'll add your own touch to it, but at the end of the day, it needs to serve the bigger picture.
Right.
So that's something that is really important. Like you can create a really cool looking shot, but if it is not needed for the story purpose or not needed for the overall project, it's a wasted work.
Right.
For that job particularly, it may have developed your skill, which is great, but it is not needed for that said job. So we need to separate those and sort of like focus on the task at hand and how we get to the point where this shot will get approved. You know what I mean?
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, navigating the animation industry it can be both challenging and rewarding at the same time. With the way our current economy is working right now, it can be a little bit daunting to so many people. And our conversations over the past couple of weeks have actually been very optimistic. And I've been so inspired to hear that from you and your optimism about that. Let's talk about navigating the animation industry and the VFX industry as a whole. I guess, let's start with the negative, which is what are some of the current challenges in the animation and VFX industries that we're facing right now? And, obviously, as you mentioned about there's only so much that we can control, what do you think artists can do now?
I think there are two major things that are happening now. One is a big strike that is going on with the writer strikes and the actor strike. So WGA and SAG-AFTRA, they're striking, and no scripts are being written, so no production is being done, which means no visual effects work is being done. So people are losing their jobs, and it is getting really scary. It is pretty scary. So hopefully they will come to an agreement soon. But the challenge is, even if they come to an agreement, it will take them few weeks to get the scripts up to the mark, and then few weeks of filming, then the visual effects animation people can start.
Right.
So what you can do if you are trying to figure out what to do in between, animation industry is not affected because the Animation Guild is predominantly represented by the Animation Guild of America, TAG. So TGA, I think, yeah. So so they are not affiliated with WGA. So animation shows are still going on, most of the animation studios. So you can actually work in animation studios. Similarly, for video game studio, the video games are not affected by this strike. So I think that's something that is going on like number one issue. Number two issue is AI. Everybody is sort of on the edge with the AI. Like, what is AI doing? Is it taking our job? I genuinely believe what AI will do, AI will speed up the process. It will reduce the number of people we need to finish a project. But
Right.
I don't think it will eliminate human involvement altogether. I don't think we are there quite yet. It will take, like the Terminator, it will take a few hundred years to get to Terminator.
That actually was something that I was going to ask you. It's a very, very hot topic at the moment right now, which
Yeah.
is artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
and how people are, going to navigate our current industry. I mean, it's a concern across all industries. Let me
It
tell
is
you.
concern. It is a concern.
Um,
Like
yeah.
people, like I got approached by 3 different companies that, hey, we're this AI-based production tool. I'm like, oh my God, they're trying to take my job.
Well, what I guess my question is to you, what do you think
Yeah.
artists can do now? I mean, we have this tool that
Learn the tool.
learn the tool.
What artists can do now is learn the tool and see how it benefits you. The
Right.
thing is, the AI still has a lot of limitations. It cannot do what you do. So don't get disheartened. It cannot do what you do. Learn the tool so you can use it to develop yourself, develop your skill sets, and then it can complement you to take it to the next level.
Right. I love that
That
idea. It's that kind of, it's that idea that when we first had Google,
yeah.
I'm not trying to age myself here, but we first had Google, and they kind of say, like, you got to go to the library, for all the
Exactly.
information. And now people are using Google as part of their research methods, and to be able to have some preliminary literature reviews that way. So I think, everyone listening on this call, maybe that's what we should do. Just learn the tool instead of
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So, on that note, then, what are trends and technological advancements, aside from artificial intelligence, that you see maybe shaping up in the near future for the animation and VFX industries that we can sort of start tackling and
I
prepare?
think Unreal is the next thing. Unreal is the thing.
I love that. Yeah, that is
Unreal
true.
is,
Tell us
yeah,
more about that.
because what Unreal, like normally in a traditional Maya pipeline, you have build your assets, you do the animation, and then you do the lighting, and then you actually see a finished product. Whereas in Unreal, you actually do the lighting and everything at the front, and then you can see and when you see the animated version of a scene, you can see it in full lit. So I think it is really helpful, especially for the creative people, to give notes, and it makes things faster, and it actually makes things easily to give creative notes on. Like a lot of the time we get really silly notes like, oh, will that raccoon be gray? And we're like, no, this is just animation. This is not looked at.
Right, that's the final.
Yeah, it's not a final look. But if it's like, it's an Unreal pipeline, then you can actually see the full thing when you are seeing it for the first time, and it's so easier. So Unreal is, I think it is going to take over. It is going to take over. Like I haven't done a show on Unreal pipeline, but I really want to do, because I think it's gonna be the killer thing. Yeah.
That's been a common conversation with a lot of my clients as well, especially in gaming, where
Yep.
Unity thought that they were like the only main one dominating sort of the
Yep.
development tool here, and now it's like Unreal is sort of this platform. But yeah, no, I mean, okay, so I want to ask a couple of questions for people looking to get started in the animation and VFX industries. Let's talk about how one can kickstart their careers. So beyond building a portfolio and networking, what kind of soft skills would you consider crucial for the animation industry and VFX industry as well? And how can individuals develop these skills as they're working to look for jobs?
I think one thing that we all should do is cater the resume and cover letter to the job. And it is actually applicable for me as well. Like I recently updated my resume, and I actually showed to David, David James I was talking about. And he was like, well, your resume is really strong, but I'm not sure if you're going for a director job or you're going for a production job. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, my resume, I had everything on. I need to shape it. So we should always shape our resume to the job we are applying. If you're applying for a modeling job, shape the resume to the modeling job. Write the cover letter. Cover letter helps, believe me. Write the cover letter with the information that is on the job posting.
Right.
Use those words because those are the words. If it's a software that is checking your first application, it will see those keywords in your letter and it will send it to the human person to check it. That's
Right.
the one barrier that you cross. So that's really important. Really cater your show reel to the job as well, if it's possible. Nowadays, generalist is not something that most of the studio hires. They hire for specific role. If you're a CFX artist, go for CFX artist. When we go to film school, we all want to be, we want to do everything.
Right.
You can't really do everything in visual effects right off the bat. You need to choose a path. Choose the path in animation that speaks to you the most. Are you an asset person or are you good in acting? Then you should do animation. Maybe you want to do something cool, explosions. You're good in programming. Okay, effects is your guy. Oh no, I like the lighting. I like shading, and I like how I like to play with light. Okay, lighting. I'm compositor. I want to finish the show. I want to make it look chisel and show ready. All right, compositor is your guy. So choose the path that you wanna be and develop yourself for the role. I know seems like a very basic advice, but
Yeah.
trust me, 9 out of 10 times we make the mistake and we don't cater ourselves to the job that we are going.
Right. I love
Especially
that.
when
I
you're
really
starting.
love that advice that you have right there, which is, essentially you're saying here, to cater, to sort of niche down a little bit when
Yeah,
especially when you're on the outside trying to get in. And
yeah,
then would you say maybe once you're in, once you have that job to
yeah, yeah.
explore right after?
Absolutely. Like once you're inside, you can switch department. I have seen people moving from asset to CFX, moving from CFX to FX. I've seen people moving from lighting to comm. That is always happened. I have even seen people moving from like VFX supervisor role to VFX producer. Like when you're a VFX supervisor, you also need to know the budget and the schedule. And sometimes you feel like, oh, that's something that is calling me, and you can actually make the switch. I have also seen production people doing training and coming back to being an artist. Like I have a couple of colleagues who were production person, coordinator, manager. They went back to school, learn. It's a more learning curve because you
Yeah.
have to learn the tool and softwares, but you can do it because at the end of the day, and this I wholeheartedly believe, a good production person need to know how a production works,
Mm.
need to have the creative juice in them, otherwise it doesn't work. Similarly, a good artist need to have some production juice in them, so they need to be organized, they need to be, because they need to know that, okay, this is my target, this is, I need to finish by 2 weeks. So you know what I mean, they need to
Right.
know that. So that's the balance that we need to do, and it goes back and forth. Like I have been writing for us um 3 years now in the North America, and which is great. Like, so for me, that switch was because I always wanted to write. So what I
Right.
did, I kept on writing on the side and kept on developing my skills. Like I kept making samples, and again, I was applying for animation writing. So what I did, the first thing that I did, I created spec, which is like a writing sample, and I specifically created a spec for the job that I was applying. So I was applying for preschool show. So I created a writing samples
Yeah.
for a preschool show. So this is really important. Like if you are writing for an adult series and your writing sample is a preschool show, you cannot get that job. Like your writing sample need to match the writing job that you're going
Right.
after.
Right.
That spec script landed me my first writing job, and then subsequent happens. So what I did basically, I kept on writing on the side, developed my skills, created some samples, spec scripts, which is like a sample script from existing shows. I also created my own show showing that what I can do. This is another thing that young artists, I think it will be helpful for them. It's good that you show your own characters, your own stories, which is great, but it should on your portfolio that you can do. If you're a character artist, you can do characters based on existing shows. Like say, for example, you're applying for a 2D character artist job. You have a lot of different original idea. That is great. But can you draw in the idea of a Peppa Pig? Can you draw in the idea of Bluey, two most famous 2D preschool shows? So it shows that you have range, A. B, you can follow direction. C, you can draw in different style. And that is important. That's why they will hire you, a company that, okay, this guy, this gal, they have different styles and I can use them in this show and the next show.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's how you prepare yourself.
Right. You see, everyone on this call, take notes, because every single time I hop on a call with Wahid, I always learn something new.
Oh, you're very kind. You're very kind.
Now, let me say, you had a really good point at the beginning of this call where you had mentioned that you had removed some of your previous experience before moving to Vancouver off of your resume in order, and you saw that there was a change in that. Yep. Now, I have never heard of that before, and I'm sure a lot of people on this call are very curious. Tell us a little bit more about that strategy that you use. Maybe perhaps, newcomers in this, in America or Canada, looking for, opportunities.
Especially if you're an immigrant, make sure to put it on the top that you are eligible to work. So when I can speak more about Canada because I've lived in Canada for 12 years. I'm now in LA now. I just lived here for 1 year. So in Canada, when you graduate from school, you get an open work permit that allows you to work anywhere in Canada. So mention that on your resume, on your cover letter. So the HR person, the recruiter person knows right away that, oh, they are eligible to work. They don't have to do any paperwork. Like normally they have to do some paperwork. They have to do some pay some fees in order to hire somebody from who are not eligible to work. And often or not, the production, they don't have time to do that and they don't have budget to do that. They would do it for somebody who is like experienced. Like when I got this job at Annapurna, so I was like, oh, okay, I would love to go to LA and live there. Would you like to sponsor me? And they're like, yeah, sure. I'm like, well, all right, that's pretty cool.
that was easy.
That was easy. And then they're like, oh, so the visa that I got is an O1 visa. They only give to like 10,000 a year, so which is very limited. And it's only for entertainment, people who are working in entertainment. And on my visa, it says alien with extraordinary abilities. Like I always wanted to be an alien. Finally, I am. I felt like Martian Manhunter. And so it's in States, it's a bit challenging when you graduate from a school. You have to get a job in your field, but in Canada it's more free. It's actually open work permit. You can work in retailer and look for jobs in your field, but it's always important to mention that you're eligible to work on your resume.
That's a really good advice.
Yeah, when you're doing like filling out online form, if you click that no, I'm not eligible to work, I need sponsorship, your application goes to a different pile.
Gotcha.
So what happens is that they check all the applicants that are eligible to work first. If they don't find anybody, then they go to the other pile. So your odds goes up. Yeah.
Now, what other practical tips do you have for maybe newcomers or people looking to immigrate and building a strong portfolio, establishing a career in the animation?
Always reach out to the recruiter after applying for a job. So you apply for a job, no harm in approaching a recruiter. And if that recruiter person is looking for somebody desperately, they will respond to you. So it's no harm in adding people on LinkedIn who are in recruitment. That's what they're there for. But don't be, this is very important, don't just poke them every other day. No, like 2 weeks, a reminder, and that's about it. If they don't get back, they don't get back. But it's all about building a relationship in this industry. It's such a small industry. Everybody knows everybody. So if you burn a bridge, it'll come and bite you. It'll come and bite you. So don't burn a bridge.
Good advice. I think that on the call here, it's always good to exercise that kind of kindness that we have for a lot of our colleagues in the animation industry. No matter, maybe perhaps you are going to face a lot of personalities, but I think that on our end, what we can control is to just be kind back, right? And it always helps the long way route.
Exactly.
Everyone you're right about that. Everyone does know each other, and you're also right about reaching out to a lot of HR folks and recruiters because they're always looking for a lot of talent. I have a lot of friends and colleagues that work in that space looking for talent, And for some reason, there's always a shortage, but for some reason, there's always a lot of people looking for jobs. So I'm like, we need to help you both, you know?
It's always about, presenting yourself and be right place at the right time in front of right people, and then, present your case. I am very talented. Okay, that's great. I'm sure you are, but can you shape that into a concrete argument for the say job that you're applying? You know what I
Right,
mean?
that elevator pitch.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, okay, so quickly, are there any specific resources or online, tools, communities that you would recommend to maybe perhaps someone
I think there's a
navigate
really
career?
active group, Women in Animation. I really love that group. They're very
Amazing,
supportive.
amazing group. Yep.
I love them very much. There's a group called Inc. Canada, which is a writers group on Facebook. They're
Amazing.
also really helpful, and they're very, very supportive. I got like 2 writing jobs from that group, so it's really nice. So I would suggest those, and there are plenty of resources out there. If you are like we live in a day when you live in an age where if you need to find anything, you can find it online. You
Right.
cannot say that I couldn't find it. That argument is no longer valid. The information is there. If you really want it, you will find it. So it's all about dedication and hard work. You might be the most talented person in the whole world, but if you don't anything about it, if you don't keep hard working at it, if you don't put your passion into active work, it will not go anywhere. I'm
Right.
sad to say, nobody will discover you. It just doesn't happen. So you just have to keep at it. Like I get deserted, I get depressed at times. And what I do, like I restart the next day. It's like a Wordle game. Every day is a new game. So that's how I keep on going.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
but there's no alternative to really hard work. Yeah, it's just, but you
It is
do
a
need
labor
to
of
put,
love, right? Like,
yes, absolutely,
now,
absolutely.
this field is so diverse.
Mhm.
We talk about it a lot. There's so much that you can do, whether it's, modeling from, compositing, lighting, and even just animation, right? And I guess really, my question is, let's talk about professionals who want to switch within the animation VFX industries, right?
Mhm.
Can you provide examples? You talk about it a little bit of the range that you've done, but maybe specific examples where strategies where maybe perhaps you've seen colleagues or even yourself in your career
Mhm.
successfully transition within the industry in different areas, whether it be from production to, animation or, and vice versa.
Yeah. So if you want to be a good artist, not only you need to know that your discipline, but also you need to know how the upstream things are work or how the downstream things are work. So how you are getting the things and how you're handing it off. So when you are doing that, you know this information, you know what is working, you know what is not working. And that's how you learn that, okay, this is what I need to do from my end to make it work on downstream. And then, like say for example, you're an animator, you're animating a scene and you're handing it to the CFX, the creature animator who's doing hair and cloth. And then you realize that, oh, that fine animation that they're doing, that's something that I want to do. So you carry that knowledge that you gathered as an animator, you take it at CFX and see what works for that scene and how you can enhance it from your department. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
similarly, like for Asset, when you're modeling something, but you also know that there are certain detailing that can be done in texture, but you kind of like texturing as well. So you can add those like in your you know what steps you need to take in the downstream for the texturing department, and you prepare yourself, and that's how you can actually make the transition. There are some skill set there like we like if you're using like say for example Houdini pipeline. So
Mm,
Houdini is a tool that is used for predominantly for effects, also
yeah.
for creature effects. So you can do like simulations. It's all about simulations. All right, I did the water, I did the smoke. Maybe I can do the cloth as well. So I can do the creature, or I can
Right.
make a
Right.
sari, or I can make like a cape. Like when before Batman versus Superman, I had no idea Batman versus Superman's capes were all CG. they're all CG. So we had a CFX
Really?
artist.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, I did not know
all
that.
CG, all CG. So all this flowing and everything controlling, they're all done by a talented group of artists. So it's how you transfer is that you have an idea of what they are doing and
Right,
what they are being handed off. The tool that you're using is the same Maya that they're using, same Houdini that they're using. They're using it differently. So because you already know the tool, you're already one step there.
right.
And because you know what material works for the downstream or the upstream department, you sort of modify yourself and learn the tools in that way that works for that department. And that's how you make the switch.
That's a really good advice. And I think that it's really hard to visualize that sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Now have asked way too many questions. I want to give our audience a chance to ask questions too.
Sure.
So, let's dive right into the Q&A session.
Yeah.
A note to the audience, to submit your question, submit it through the Q&A box below. You should see that at the bottom of the Zoom window, and we'll try to answer your question as soon as you can. If we don't get to your question, no worries. We will send a note after this call with a survey for this event to be able to answer your question, and you'll have a chance to submit your questions. And we'll also have a sign-up form for our newsletter for more development in the Animation Spotlight program, for more talks with Wahid, more talks with other folks, and maybe colleagues of Wahid, and one-on-one mentoring session from many folks and partners of the program. Now, back to the Q&A question. Let's just dive right in.
There's like quite a few questions here.
We do. I'm super excited. I always love seeing Q&A questions. Now, we have a first question over here, which is, I want to start with screenwriting for cartoons, but I have no idea how to. How do I get noticed by studios?
So there are a few things that you can do. First, you can learn about the screenwriting, the templates and style. There are some free softwares that will do it for you. Celltext.com lets you, write screenplay in screenplay formats. And you can also get yourself registered for nofilmschool.com. They have a lot of different writing tips. And for screenwriting for cartoon, the best thing is to read a lot of scripts. There are a lot of scripts available online. Read the scripts that you want to write. Like, say, for example, if you want to write something like Paw Patrol or like Preschool Show or Peppa Pig, read their script. If you want to write something like a feature film, so read Pixar script. They're the best. They're literally the best. So you read them, and that's how you develop your skill set, and then you write down, and you know the technique, what to write and how to write. And when you have ideas and you have your own script, a good way to get noticed is to participate in screenplay competitions. There are a lot of competitions out there. Coverfly.com is a website where you will see a lot of these competitions, and you can go in, and you can also read the scripts there in Coverfly as well, and you can see what are trending. Like my script was actually trending last month. So it's like you can actually download the script, you can read what is working for them, and that will help you to shape up your own work. And if you get finalists, semi-finalists, quarter-finalists in competitions like this, what happens is that you get noticed, and you may get hired by an agent or a manager, and that is actually the first step to get into writing jobs in this part of the world. Otherwise, it gets it gets challenging. The other thing that you can do is actually make your own stuff, make a short film that works for you, and within your perimeter, within your budget, and then take it to the festival, and that does well, and that is your inroad to go to studios and go to regular writing jobs. And the third thing that you can do is build network, talk to the story editor, talk to the executive producers, talk to the showrunners, and build a personal relationship to the point where they can actually read your material, and if they like you, they will bring you in as a writer's assistant, or you can be a script coordinator, and then you move up the ladder. That's it.
Thank you. Now, we have a question here. As a visual artist, what steps should I follow and or try to go through to make it to the Hollywood, and to make it to Hollywood?
Yeah. Sorry, what's the question again, man?
As a visual artist,
Yeah.
what steps should I follow to try to get to make it into Hollywood? Basically, your
So
journey.
what you can do is there are a lot of if you are not in North America, or if you're not eligible to work in North America, the first thing you can do is try to find the offices. There are offices in China, there are offices in India, in certain parts of the other parts of the world, where you can actually work as a freelancer. So at first, to get into Hollywood film, you need to have a good showreel. And the way to have a good showreel is to work on cool stuff. And you don't necessarily always get to work on cool stuff unless you work for the studio. So it's like a chicken and egg, which came first. So what you can do is sort of like you try to find a studio, maybe in India, or maybe in China, or maybe in Thailand, who are working on Hollywood production. So get those credits under your belt and then slowly move up the ladder. I personally know a few artists who are working in Bangladesh, and they're working on Hollywood production from Bangladesh. They learned the skill set from on their own. They started doing freelance work. As they build their resume, they sort of move up the ladder. The thing is that this is all about images. If you can produce Hollywood quality image, you will get noticed, but it will not happen overnight. It will take time. It will take years, 2 years, 3 years, get into the point where you maybe want to go. So if you are an artist already and you have the skill set, maybe try to look into not directly to studio in UK or US or Canada, but maybe start in China, maybe start in India, and build your portfolio, build your resume, and then take it to the next level.
Thank you. Now we have another question.
Yeah.
I
Big
like this.
question, the next one, yeah?
This one I'm kind of moving around a little
Oh,
bit.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
good, go ahead.
I am a 2D motion designer, and I will be moving to Canada next month as a permanent resident. Can you give me some suggestions regarding how I can, establish my career as an animator over there being Canada?
That you are going there as a PR, so that's perfect. So you are eligible to work. Make sure to put it on your resume and your cover letter that you are eligible to work in Canada. That's number one. Number two, create a show reel. Don't show everything you have done, but show the best things you have done, and highlight different aspect of motion graphics. If you have done, like, say, for example, a trailer, or if you have done something like instructional video, categorize it according to your strength, your best work. Now, say, for example, you're applying for an advertising company, have a show reel that shows your advertising work. If you're applying for a movie or a TV studio, show the movie trailers or TV trailers that you have done. If you're applying for like an instructional animation studios where they make like corporate videos and stuff like that, create a show reel based on that. Try to. You may not have all the materials, you may not prioritize that job that you are applying to. And it takes the first job, it takes a few months to get in Canada. It takes about 6 months, to be honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It takes about 6 months after graduation. But don't get disheartened. It happens to everybody. But the best thing is that you are coming in with the PRs, you're eligible to work, so nothing is holding you back. So you can just develop your skill, create showreel that is specific for the job you're applying, and then apply for the job. Go to networking event, talk to the recruiters. Hopefully you'll get it.
Thank you. There's another question over here. Can you please give some tips for achieving work-life balance?
Ooh, you're talking to the wrong person. I'm like 4 jobs. But you know what? I'm much better. I'm a dad now. My daughter just turned 3. So ever since she was born, I was like, you know what? I need to tighten up the things. Sadly, we're in an industry, it gets very daunting at times. 10, 12 hours days, 7 days a week. Sometimes we have to work. It's very tricky. And especially now we're working from home. We're like checking emails at like 10 at night and replying to something at 11. We don't have to. It's a bit tricky for work-life balance. What you can do is, I think, what helps is prioritizing. I used to be the person where like first in and last out. I would always do that, but I don't do that anymore. What I do now is like, okay, I have 10 things that needs to be done by end of day, and then out of the 10 things, four that fine if it gets pushed the first thing tomorrow morning. So I actually categorize those and push it out, and then do the six things and get it done. That's how I've been doing it lately. But oh man, work-life balance, that's a challenge in this industry. That is a very challenging thing. The few things that you can do is take breaks in between sessions, go for a walk, just 10-minute walk, get up and just get water. That helps. Again, when you're working from home, oh man, I sometimes just don't move. Like 8 hours sitting in a chair, it's really bad for you, and I have to learn it. I have to be better at it myself. Um, uh, I think at the end of the day, we should know that we are making films, we're making TV, not a rocket scientist, not saving lives. So don't kill yourself. Nothing helps if you kill yourself. Nothing helps if you stress yourself to the limit. No, take a chill break. Do the things that gets you motivated, inspired. You like music, listen to your favorite song. You like playing video game, play a game for 10 minutes. Do you like to go on a hike? Just go out, run around the block. Just do the thing that inspires you, motivates you, just gives you a little bit break, and then come back to the work. I think that helps.
That's really good advice. I think we have a phrase in PR called it's PR, not ER, you know.
That's a very good way to
Wish
put
we
it.
had one for animation. So, but I have room for two more questions. But again, as I mentioned, I'll be
Yeah.
sending an email. We'll have more opportunities to ask more questions and Wahid more questions. Now, this one is a really good question. I was trying to unpack it. I just wanted to know how you would suggest someone like me who's struggling to also get a visa sponsorship and I'm not able to land any experience simply because of my passport. This person has a BA in film from NYU, but they don't live in the US or Canada. And even though they've received offers from some companies in Canada, no one wanted to take the plunge. So what would you say is sort of like the best approach to navigating that kind of obstacle?
This is challenging, what like this sort of thing sort of also happened to me as a writer. Like when I first got a writing break in Canada, I was not a PR. I wanted to get an agent, and nobody would speak to me because I didn't have a PR. I'm like, but I have this writing contract, and they're like, no, doesn't matter. So it's very tricky. So and I'm gonna be devil's advocate. There's a reason why they look for PR. So when you in Canada, especially in Vancouver or in Montreal, there's a thing called tax break. So when you are a show that is doing the visual effects there, or a company that has a studio there, so they get a tax break from the province. So say, for example, the tax is $10, they get tax break of $6. I'm arbitrary numbers. I'm just throwing it out there, but just to give you an idea. So in order to get that tax break, you need to hire a certain number of people that are local, that are permanent resident, that has work permit. So that's why they do it. It's not like a criminal intention that, oh no, we're not going to let anybody in. It's not like that. It's very technical that they have to have, out of 100 people, they have to have 85 or 97, 92 in the province, within the legal zone. So that's why it happens. So what you can do, since you have the offer, which means that you are really skilled, but you are not there now a lot of remote work has opened up. And again, I'll go back to, like, I don't know if Framestore has an office in India, but DNAG, Digital Domain, ILM, everybody has an office in India. Go work for them, gather more experience, use that experience to apply for a PR. So now you can apply for a skill set PR. Like, I'm not a immigration lawyer or any means, so you have to do your own research and hire an immigration lawyer if needed to get that process through. but you can apply for a skilled immigrant visa with your skill. So you can work for a studio offices in India or China, gather that experience, and then you will get picked. Now, I know somebody who is from Bangladesh. His name is Tanvir Islam. He was one of the art director for games like God of War, the new Star Wars game that came out. He learned everything from Bangladesh. No proper schooling, VFX schooling, or animation schooling of any kind. He learned all on his own. He was so good that he got hired from Bangladesh to China, and now he's working in Montreal. They actually sponsored him. But directly to Canada, directly to US or UK, as I was saying, it's not heard of, because it's like it takes a lot of process, a lot of paperwork, a lot of financial commitment to bring somebody in. So they would only bring somebody in who are like super experienced, and or like somebody who got an Oscar nomination, or somebody who got like an Oscar shortlisted or something like that. So since you already got a job offer, which means that your skill set, you just need to have a portfolio to show your work, or you have done work. Maybe with your current skill set, you can land a job in China, in Thailand, Singapore, in India, work on Hollywood films, build your portfolio, have a work experience, use that experience to get a permanent resident, and then you can work free. That would what I would do.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Now, I guess just concluding here a little bit here, what would you say, could you share some final words of wisdom and encouragement for our participants and our attendees who are passionate about just really diving in, and, whether it be starting freelance full-time or changing, locations, moving to a different country to start a career in animation, all of that. What would you say to people?
I would say do it. The thing is that I always believe that you need to take a risk on yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, if you then take risk on yourself, nobody else would. Now, don't get me wrong. I am somebody, I play it little safe. I always have a backup plan. So I have a backup plan and then a backup to backup plan. Like my backup to backup plan is going back to engineering. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, everything falls apart. I go back to being a mechanical engineer. I would be a terrible engineer, but I would live by. So have a backup plan, see what works for you, but go for it. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't have the faith in yourself, then the other person who's hiring you, they will not. You know what I mean? You need to trust yourself. You need to trust your guts, and you need to put on the work. You need to
That's really good advice. Yeah. Now, we appreciate your time and your insights today, Wahid. Where can our guests find you online? Do you have,
Oh, you can look me up on Facebook. I'm mostly active on Facebook, not so much on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that. Can you find
you on LinkedIn? Are you on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn as well. I'm very active on LinkedIn, on Facebook. So you can just look me up, my full name, and then you can follow me for sure.
Thank you so much. Now, thank you, everyone. So lastly, we encourage all participants, this concludes our event of the day, and we encourage all participants to consider signing up for the Animation Spotlight Program newsletter to stay informed about future workshops and opportunities in animation. My name is Matthew Celestial, and I'm the president and CEO of Statement. We are committed to bringing our community in the animation industry together, and we want to hear from you. So follow us on social media. You can also follow Wahid on LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm also available on LinkedIn, and you can follow Statement Strategies on Instagram at Statement Strategies. And again, we will be sending an email out to everyone for those of you who haven't had your questions answered, and an opportunity to sign up for more workshops and opportunities in the animation industry. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everybody. Especially thank you for everybody from Bangladesh for joining in so late. It's like 2.
Thank you. Thank you. Everyone from around the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.